Welcome to the Anti-Hustle Business Podcast. I am your host, Shannon Whaley, and I'm here to help coaches, consultants, and service providers like you build profitable, sustainable online businesses without the hustle or the burnout that's so prevalent in the online space. I am here to show you that there is a totally different way to do business that doesn't leave you burnt the fuck out and hating your life. It's time to ditch the hustle culture and embrace a new way of doing business. So get ready to redefine success on your terms and build a thriving anti-hustle based business where you have more money, more naps, more travel, more freedom, more whatever the fuck you want in your life. So buckle up and let's dive in. Hey there, welcome back to the pod. So today I'm just going to dive right in because this is, again, a topic that lots of people have lots of opinions on, and I see this question a lot specifically in the groups that I'm in around ICF credentials. So any of the ACC, PCC, MCC, coach training, Facebook groups from the ICF. Now they're not affiliated with the ICF, but it's for people who are going for their credential. What do I charge as a new coach? So I wanted to put this out there because this is something that is asked all the time, and it's a very important question. I know that this topic can really activate people, and so I want to bring a very grounded essence or energy to this conversation because money is very triggering. It's very activating for so many reasons. Charging for your services, especially as someone who is just moving into that part of their journey as a coach, it kicks up your imposter syndrome. It really activates any sort of scarcity mindset. There's a ton of comparison about what are they charging, who's your competition, and it also really brings up a fear of rejection. And so all of these things are going to play a really, really big part in how you price your packages and your offers, what you set your hourly rate as, and all of the things. And most of the advice that I see is awful because remember, when you go into these large groups, and you are asking for people's opinions, especially around money, they are giving you advice from their lens and their money mindset. So if they have not done any work around what they were given in their families, cultural stuff, if they've not done any work around their beliefs, around what's possible or anything, if they've and I've done a ton of work around this, and I still get activated and triggered by these conversations. And so you have to remember that when you are in these groups and you're asking people for advice around money and what you should charge, you are basing your rates on their money mindset and what they think is possible for them. Okay, so I really want you to recognize that and be really mindful of who you're asking advice from, who you're listening to, and what their background is, and if it is solid and based on abundance and on skill set. So we're going to get into that. This episode is not about charging high rates. It's not about getting the most money as soon as you can or as fast as you can. It's about charging clean. It's about getting regulated and charging what you can hold energetically. There's so much stuff out there, and I'm just going to recognize I'm probably going to piss people off with this, and I don't care because this needs to be said. So most of the advice is useless, in my opinion, because we're hearing things like charge what you're worth, look at what others are charging, and go find your competition and base your rates on what they're charging. Raise your rates and see what happens. These are not grounded or rooted in in literally anything. These are just like throwing spaghetti at the wall ways to raise your rates. And so none of that helps an established coach, let alone a brand new coach, because pricing without context turns into guessing. It turns into overcorrecting or undercutting yourself out of fear. And don't forget that when you go look at your competitor, you, again, are basing your rates on their money mindset. And then you don't know what's actually happening in the back end of their business. They might be charging a rate, but you don't know if they're getting hired at that rate. You don't know if they're getting people complaining and pulling out of programs because they've enrolled people in their program who aren't a good fit and they blew out their nervous systems, they're overinvested, and now they're freaking out behind the scenes asking for refunds. We never know what's happening in the back end of people's businesses. We can only see what's happening on Instagram, okay? I have been in the back in many different ways over the last 10 years in the back end of people's businesses, whether I've been in masterminds with 6- and 7-figure business owners, whether I've been the coach of coaches and consultants and service providers who are 7-figure business owners. And what I know is that just because they're charging something doesn't mean it's actually working. So we don't want to be looking at or have that be, sure, it's nice to like, that's interesting, or that's nice to know that that's what they're charging for that program, but that's not what we're basing our money on. That's not what we're basing our prices on. Your rates should be a calculated business decision, not a guess. And so what actually determines your prices should be based on your scope of work and what you're offering, the length of the program, how many calls are in the program, what are they getting in between the sessions, are there bonuses, is there other levels of support and access, do they have access to you via Telegram or Voxer? And then also your capacity, your nervous system, and sustainability, and what can you hold? Not your self-esteem, not guesswork. This needs to be very specific. And when I see people asking these questions in these large groups, it tells me they don't have a coach that's helping them work through this, because this is a question that really is reserved for a coach and their client, who's a coach, to work on this together and to really look at all of the things that I just listed, the length of the program, what's included, all of that stuff. So I want you to ask yourself, how much time am I giving? How much one-on-one time do they have with me? How much program time? Maybe it's a group program. Are there co-working calls? Are there workshops involved? Like, what is involved in this program? How much energy does this require of you? What do I need to do? What do I need to feel regulated while delivering this? Because I can tell you what, when you're undercharging, you show up in a very different energy than when you are charging where it feels aligned, where you are in abundance, where you're not over giving, where you're not constantly stressed out and worried about the price point. One thing that I work on with my clients and my students is really getting into alignment around this, because what I see people doing is they'll raise their rates and then they'll throw in a ton of bonuses to substantiate those rates. The bonuses aren't out of abundance. They're not out of, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not like, we want to be giving people bonuses because this is going to help you. If you went through this bonus, it's going to actually make my job easier. So let's say I offered my money mindset program as a bonus for one of my programs. When someone goes through that, that's actually going to make my my job so much easier because they've gone through this bonus that I offered them. That program's called Conscious Money, by the way. So they go through Conscious Money while we're working together one-on-one, and it's changing their money mindset. And now that was a bonus out of generosity. That was the word I was looking for. That was a bonus out of this is going to serve you well. I'm not just throwing the kitchen sink and I got this and I got this and I got this to substantiate the price that I've just asked for. So that's where you want to be checking in with yourself. This is how you have ethical pricing where it feels good and it's a reflection of your work. It's a reflection of your training and your skill set and your expertise and your authority and the transformation that you're helping your clients get. And this can feel really tricky, especially to someone who's just starting, because you might not feel any of those things. You might not be coming from a field where this is just like an extension of what you were doing, but now it's just coaching. You might have just decided, I want to be a coach. This sounds great. And gone through coach training, but you don't have a degree in the thing that you're coaching around. You don't have tons of experience working with people who you've gotten results for. So that means that we really need to work on your confidence, your belief in yourself. We need to beef up your coaching skills. And you will tiptoe your way, most likely, you're going to tiptoe your way into those higher rates. But I said this in one of the last episodes, was that I encourage all of my coach training students to charge immediately. Even if it's $25 a session, but put yourself out there, because the sooner that you start charging, the sooner we can work on your money mindset. The sooner we start working through that discomfort of having the sales conversations, learning how to talk about our services with a price tag included. The sooner that you can work on that, the better. Now, here's something that is also quite important for you to do and to recognize, is separating your self-worth from your rates, from your business, putting a barrier in between yourself and the work that you're doing and the prices that you're asking for. This is where people get tangled and fucked up. Your rate is not a reflection of your value as a human being. And I want to drive that in, because it can feel soul crushing when you hear it's too expensive. I can't believe you're charging that much. I would never. These are all things that I've heard. Who do you think you are? Your pricing is a reflection of your current skill level, your current experience, and the scope of the container that you're offering. And so that's why it's hard to say what people should be charging and why people can't really answer that question in a Facebook group. There's so many questions to ask. This would be a multiple conversation for me and my clients. We would be doing multiple sessions worth of work. I would be giving them journal prompts. We would be working on their money mindset. I would be having them do different activities. So this isn't a post it in a Facebook group, get your rates and move on conversation. Your rates are going to evolve, just like you as a coach. Your skill set's going to evolve. So the more comfortable that you sink into your coaching, the more that you're being a coach instead of performing coaching, your rates are going to go up. They're supposed to. You're supposed to evolve. Your business is going to evolve. So is all how it's supposed to work. And if you fuse your identity to your price, every sales conversation becomes like an extension of you. And when you hear no, you take it personally, and then you're going to spiral. And now we have some work to clean up. Now we have your self-esteem to pick up off the floor. So I want to drive this home, and this is work that you will do until you shut your business down, to really detach in that way from your business, because this is exhausting. And if you base your self-esteem off of how many clients you have, how many people that said yes, the money in your bank account, that is a slippery slope, and it is a roller coaster. And you will close up shop because you're burnt out, your feelings are hurt, especially if you have rejection sensitivity. And so you really, really have to be working on this. You have to develop a thick skin. You have to know that you are so much more than your business. You are worth infinite numbers or dollars that you can never charge what you are worth as a human. You can charge what your services are worth. You can charge what your expertise is worth. You can charge what the transformation is worth. So we really want to get out of that mindset, charge what you're worth. And I still see this all over the place in these groups and on the internet. So let's talk about pricing structures that work for a newer coach. And this also goes for consultants, service providers, anyone really, that you don't need complex pricing. At this point, also, you don't necessarily need a signature program, especially if you're just getting started. You don't know what the fuck that you're coaching around. Some people might have an idea, but I guarantee you who you are and what you're coaching around now is going to be different than who you are and what you're coaching around in a year. So knowing that this is all going to change. So when you're just starting, you don't need a complex offer. You don't need a 6-month blah, 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 12-month blah, blah, blah. You just need a very simple offer and simple pricing. So that could look like 3 months of coaching, of weekly coaching. So this is more intensive, right? So 90 days. So that's what? 12 sessions over 3 months, which would be at this price point. Or if you want to go a little bit longer and slow things down, we can do 2 sessions a month for 6 months, and it would be this price point. So still 12 sessions. One, and it's the same price really, but one has a longer extended payment plan because it's 6 months, you're only meeting twice a month. Or if they want to hit the ground running, they've got goals, they want to get this thing done yesterday, then they would do the 90-day more intensive program. Easy peasy. Want to break free from the hustle and grind and build a successful business? I've helped thousands of clients and students leave their 9-to-5 jobs, travel the world, land their first clients, close 5-figure sales in the DMs, and grow their businesses to 6 and 7 figures. Want to know more? Visit antihustlebiz.com and transform your life and business the anti-hustle way. Okay, back to the show. I encourage you to think about what your hourly rate would be, but do not charge an hourly rate. For example, based on my PCC credential, my 10 years of experience, I am a certified mentor coach. I've been a coach trainer. I've ran multiple marketing departments of different companies. Based on my expertise and what I do, my one-on-one rate is around $300 an hour. Now, I don't charge hourly. I do by packages. So then the package, that would be your rough idea of what things are going to cost. Okay? So if it's 2 sessions a month, let's just stay on that. So let's just stay on these numbers so you can see. So 2 sessions a month would be $600. Now, I also need to consider, are they getting anything in between sessions? Do they have access to me in Voxer or Telegram, which are the texting apps? Or is it just email support? or no support in between. I was working with a coach/therapist, and it was $250 a session. I met him twice a month, no support in between. I could email him and he would send me an email a couple days later. So it was just a clean $250. Perfect. However, if you are offering extra things, like part of my work with my one-on-one business clients is that I am also doing copy review. I'm looking at landing pages. They're sending me links to their opt-ins. So I'm reviewing documents in between our sessions. I want to make sure I'm getting compensated for that. Plus, am I editing things? Am I helping them do things? Like, is this moving into kind of a done for you or a done with you situation? I want to make sure that I'm getting compensated and paid for that. So now maybe instead of 2 sessions a month, which is $600, because of all these things, now it's $1,000 a month. But all of these things are necessary for my one-on-one business coaching clients so that we could get their sales pages up, so that I can review their funnels. So you're seeing how it's more than just one call, here's this. And I want to move you out of the hourly rates as soon as possible, because that's how you stop trading dollars for hours. It's how you create packages, you secure your income, you can predict your income for the next 3 to 6 months. And both you and your client can settle into this contract and settle into this program. So think about, and you can have both of these. So you could say, okay, so let's say a brand new coach and your hourly rate is $50 a session. So that would be $200 a month for 3 months, or $100 a month for 6 months. And then you want to feel into that. How does that feel when I say that? Okay, $50 a month. And you're like, that's way too fucking cheap. Great. How about $75? I could do that. Yeah. How about $100? Ooh, that feels stretchy. Great. What if we did $100 and just tried to stretch you into it? But if I said $100 and you're like, absolutely not, then that's not your price point. Maybe $75 a session is your price point. And then we tiptoe you into the higher rates. So maybe just because you have one client who's $75 a session, and so let's say we're looking at this and, okay, so it's $50 a session for 2 sessions a month. So it's $100, and you're offering Voxer support in between, and you're like, that's like another $100. So now it's $200. Did I do that math right? We're talking about the two. So 2 sessions at $50 a month, $50 a session. So that's $100. And then you're offering Voxer or Telegram. So that's another $100. So now it's a $200 a month package, because again, we want to move you out of hourly. And if you're offering something in between, you want to make sure that you're being compensated for that. Now, I would say set boundaries around what this is going to look like. So for example, no voice notes over 3 minutes. And that doesn't mean leave me 15 fucking voice notes for 3 minutes. No, absolutely not. If you're a verbal processor, please have at it, but then wrap it up in a separate voice note and give me the Reader's Digest version of what you just said. What do you need me to do out of this? Be really firm on this, because people will end up using those as sessions, and now you've been on Voxer for 30 minutes or an hour and they're in crisis. Then that means that they need to up their coaching with you and move out of 2 sessions a month into 4 sessions a month, if this is how they're using their Voxer support. So things to think about. Make sure that you have one specific offer, not 5 different things scattered. This is going to help you, first of all, learn how to talk about what you're offering. It's going to help you get really clear on the results, the transformation. It's going to help you zero in on your ideal client avatar. Because you got 5 different things, people are like, I don't know which one's for me. So zero in on the one demographic. Now, that doesn't mean that you are married to this demographic and you can never change demographics, but you want to settle in as you're launching your one-on-one and filling this up. Give yourself 6 weeks of this demographic so that you can understand what it feels like to talk about this for 6 weeks. This is the launch plan that I teach you in Anti-Hustle Business School. You create tons of content. You get lots of content from the discovery calls or the consultations that you're doing. You get more information about who your ideal client is. You can change and hone in who you're talking to, because if you're getting people who aren't a good fit on your discovery calls, it means that you need to change what you're talking about on social media. Why do I keep getting these people? Because you're not talking about the right thing. Or you need to stop talking about this thing because you keep getting these people. So you're going to get tons of information. You don't need to have like lots of tiers, endless bonuses, complicated payment plans. Simplify this. This is the anti-hustle business model. Simple. One specific program, 2 different options. Have the prices written out and start saying it out loud. Start when you're getting ready in the morning and brushing your teeth or putting your makeup on or whatever, or you're in the car or say it out loud. My program it's a 3-month program. It's 4 sessions a month and it's $200 a month. That's it. And that one's going probably to be harder for you to sell because it's a higher price point versus it's 6, right? Like it's 6 months, 2 sessions a month, and it's $100 or $150, right? So do the higher price point one because then the other one's just going to be easy. You can sell that one easy peasy. But we really want to pay attention to what's happening in your body. Are you getting flushes of heat? Is your chest going to burst into flames? My face has been giving me away lately. As soon as I start to blush, like I'm bright red, my chest is splotchy, probably happening right now. What happens in your body? And that is what we pay attention to. What's happening in your stomach? We don't want you getting on calls and sinking down and contracting when it's time to tell the price. We want you open. My arms are open. I want you, like, I am ready to receive. We don't want you on calls being like, oh, it's $200 a month. Oh, sinking down. I wouldn't pay this. That's another thing. Would you pay this for this service? That is also a disconnect. If you're like, I'm charging prices that I would never pay somebody for, that is a huge integrity piece to look at. I've heard people doing that as well. And so that is also going to be a stumbling block. So simple packages, simple pricing, have it written out, keep the pricing, do not be offering discounts left and right. You need to check yourself if you're offering discounts or throwing in tons of bonuses. That is your discomfort overriding the call. And we need to get that into check. The clarity, the confidence, that builds trust. And that's what we're going for here. People are also paying you for your confidence to step into this next level. So we want to make sure that you're charging what feels good, what feels expansive, that you're not undercharging because that actually backfires. And when you are undercharging out of fear, also out of scarcity, I need to get fucking hired, so I'm going to lower my rates to whatever. You attract people who aren't fully committed. You probably attract people who aren't fully in alignment with you and what you're doing. You start to over-deliver to compensate, and you feel drained. This is a surefire way to burn out. And then what happens is you start questioning yourself. You start questioning your ability. You start thinking, oh, people are saying no because I'm not actually a good coach, when actually what I have seen over the many years is that the coaches are excellent coaches. They're just not good business owners yet. They're not good salespeople yet, because coaching is a skill set. And a lot of the coaches that I'm around have gone through coach training, and they've invested a lot of money and spent a lot of time learning the coaching skills, but they have not invested the same time or money into business skills. And most of the coach training programs don't have a business component. And you spent $10,000 on this degree. It's like when I graduated from college, they sent me out and I was like, fucking now what? I had to go back to school. I had to get a credential from another school so that I could actually work. And so this is similar, where you're paying $10,000 for coach training and you're done, you graduated, and you're like, fucking now what? And then you have to go get another credential, whether it's Anti-Hustle Business School or it's another business program or business coach. But you have to learn how to create programs, how to talk about your offers, how to launch, how to sell, how to manage your money. Like, all of these things are business skill sets. So you nailed the coaching skill set, and now we need to figure out the business skill set. But what happens is, because you haven't nailed the business skill set, you're combining that, and then you say, I'm not a good coach because people aren't hiring me. When in actuality, it's that you're not a good storyteller yet. You're not a good marketer yet. You don't know how to talk about your offer yet. They don't teach you that in coach training because it's not part of the core competencies. And we're not allowed to. So your low prices don't protect you from this rejection, and they often create more rejection sensitivity and more resentment. And so that's why having a very simple, clean program and pricing structure is going to create more stability and is going to help you get regulated at that $100 a month, $200 a month, $300 a month, $400 a month. Each level requires a new mindset. Each level requires your nervous system to be regulated at that price point. This is not what is talked about in these Facebook groups. You literally can't. So remember that when you're seeing this. When you are looking at how to price your offers, we're looking at building a business that you can sustain. And that means that if your pricing requires you to overwork, to keep chasing new people, ignoring your capacity, over delivering, over promising, that is not a sustainable business model. That's not what we're going for here. And that sustainability piece is part of your professional integrity as a certified coach. And so to tie in the core competencies to you as a business owner, this is you really embodying a coaching mindset. So what do I mean by that? Being self-aware, adjusting as you grow, searching out new learning opportunities, stretching yourself as a coach, as yourself as a coach, learning and evolving your business decisions. So this is a practice. Your pricing is a practice, just like anything else. And we don't want you, just as much as I don't want you to be performing as a coach, the same thing with your pricing. This isn't a performance. This is rooted in facts. I have this much experience. I have these many hours under my belt. These are facts. So I want you, if you're feeling stuck about your pricing, I want you to ask yourself, so am I pricing from fear or from clarity? What would feel clean and sustainable right now What could I ask for right now? And am I trying to prove something? Or am I trying to build something? And you don't need to get this perfect. There's no perfect here. You just need to be honest with yourself. Because I might be able to charge $1,000, $2,000, $2,500 a month because I've been doing this for a decade. But that doesn't mean that you're going to be able to hit the ground running at that price point. And so you need to be honest with what you can hold and what feels in integrity around your pricing. So if you want help with any of this, we can have a conversation about Anti-Hustle Business School. It's open year-round, open enrollment. Make sure that you have gone to the show notes. My Facebook group link is in there. Antihustlebiz.com is where you'll get my anti-hustle business checklist. My job is to help you really simplify your offers and your pricing so that you can grow without guessing, so that you can become a better, more confident coach and work on your skill set as a coach, but also build an ethical and sustainable business. So remember, your price doesn't need to impress anyone. It needs to support the work that you're doing and support you while you're doing it. So that's what we're here to do. Thanks for being here. Come share your thoughts with me. What landed for you? What pissed you off? And I will see you next week. Take care. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Anti-Hustle Business Podcast. I hope you found inspiration in the message and that you got some actionable next steps that you can implement right away in your business to start seeing results and moving the needle. Remember, you don't have to sacrifice your well-being or your mental health to achieve success. So prioritize your pleasure, play, and rest while you build your business around your life. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Your feedback helps me reach more entrepreneurs like you who want to do business in a completely new way. For more resources and to connect with my community, please visit my website at antihustlebiz.com and follow me on Instagram at @TheShannonWhaley. Until next time, keep taking those strategic anti-hustle steps toward building the business and life that you love. Take care.